Record your life. Record your life. Whether you call it document your life, document the journey, capture the highlights, capture the lows. I've only recently had a change of heart in this direction. I think 2 years ago, even less than 2 years ago, I never would have thought that I would have any interest in recording myself, and I also questioned why other people would have any interest in doing the same. I think only with the exception of those people who had already made something out of the industry, the content creation industry, whether they had a business associated with their audience, or they had a product, or I follow a few people who have physical e-commerce brands, digital products, maybe some other type of affiliation. I'm not getting into content for branding purposes or branding partnership reasons in any way. I would much prefer to build my own brand, build my own product, and have that as part of my my assets. What am I trying to say now? See, the thing what I'm doing with these videos here, these long form YouTube, right? I'm just doing it in one continuous shot. And I posted a video 2 or 3 days ago now, and it was a fairly uninteresting title, admittedly, and it was a fairly uninteresting thumbnail, and that's fine. And nobody knows or recognizes my face online, apart from, say, the odd 100 or 200 people that I've come to know throughout life, and that's fine. One of the things I'm noticing is that a lot of the people who are successful in... Okay, so there's two things to this, right? Two things to this video. One, a lot of the people that you see online as being successful, they actually started a decade earlier than when you've encountered them, more than likely. The second thing is that you should actually record regardless of whether anybody watches at all. It's part of the process, and you should actually just enjoy it. You shouldn't think too much, shouldn't think too highly about who's going to see it, who's not going to see it, who really cares. I think once you can get over that, you realize it's actually an enjoyable process. There's no pressure. There's no pressure. I'm out here in China. My name's Elliott. I feel like I'm going to have to introduce myself every 2 or 3 videos now because, of course, nobody knows me, rightly so. But so maybe just on point 1 quickly here. Point 1 being that I came across somebody the other day, maybe 6 months ago. This individual has 1 million or so followers on one platform, 500,000 on the other, combination of YouTube and Instagram. And they have been posting for the past 11 years. 11 years, 2015, maybe even 2014, maybe 12 years. And they're not particularly special. They're not talented. Don't have any other physical or mental abilities, more or less than anybody else in the world. The only thing that they've done is that for each of the past 11 years, they've been more or less consistent with content throughout that entire time. They haven't even talked about anything extraordinary. When I went back to some of their earlier videos, they were talking about homework and about how to study as a high school student. And I thought that is the least original idea. But of course, this individual was happy and wanted to do it, interested in it. I thought that's so cool. You don't have to have... And so this is one of the points that I have only recently come to really believe in, which is that you don't need to have a super interesting life. You don't have to drive around in a certain type of car. You don't have to live in a certain country. You don't even have to speak a special language or have a certain unique feature about you. Sure, it helps. And I think a lot of people would say, well, what's your asset, or what are you bringing to the market, or you need some sort of special skill to demonstrate and to show, and the high value skill people talk about. But a way around that is if you just started a decade ago, you would be a lot further along today compared to where you were then. And so I think that gives everybody hope in that you can be anybody, absolutely anybody. And as long as you just start, either you haven't started, and so in which case today's a good time to do that, or if you've already done it, obviously you need... one of the key things here is the consistency piece. And I think as long as you remain consistent, then you're setting yourself up to, it's impossible to fail. Learning Mandarin is also one of those things where, any foreign language, but learning Mandarin in particular, you can't just do it for say 6 weeks and expect to come back fluent. So, anyway, that's my special piece there. The other piece to this is document your life, even if nobody's watching it and even if nobody watches. And so I uploaded a video a couple of days back, no views. This video might get a few views. I might try to make the thumbnail interesting. I am going to be pointed in the title. I will label it something like film your journey, document your life. Just because I feel like I tried to fire the starting gun on my long form consistency a couple of days back, and I just wanted to put something out there. And I'd never done a video that was half an hour long in the past. So I figured, well, let's just put something out there, even if it's a little bit rambly. And it's just interesting as well. Joe Rogan was starting out as a podcaster, the world's biggest podcast. He's having these long 2, 3, 4 hour conversations with people. I think he was at criticism from friends or family or someone close to him. And they were saying, nobody's going to watch this, Joe. Nobody has 4 hours to sit down and watch you interview or talk to your friends about these things that nobody's interested in. And look at it now. Look at it now. Now, had Joe taken that advice to heart, had he cared, then he wouldn't be the world's largest podcaster. This is obviously a long time ago as well, well over a decade. I'm not sure when the first Rogan podcast was out, but I dare say it was, anyway, in the early 2010s. The point is, his response to this individual or group of people was, well, I don't care if nobody watches it, it's interesting for me. I want to do it, so I'm going to do it. And I think if you come in with no expectations, like he didn't even care if people watched it or not. And if you come in with that expectation of, I don't care if anyone watches this, I'm not trying to make 30-second TikToks overnight and get 1 million views on a short. I'm just going to do what I enjoy. I'm going to talk about interesting people with interesting things, and what comes of it. The other thing is that he wasn't looking or hoping to become, quote unquote, successful overnight. It's very much a long-term thing, and nor was he even looking to become the world's largest podcaster. He just wanted to do something interesting, something that he enjoyed. But more than that, he stuck with it and the consistency of it. Right? Even after a decade, he wasn't as big as what he is today. Now interviewing presidential candidates, and obviously the empire that he has built with his company and group of companies around the world that he didn't have 12 years ago, 14 years ago, whenever their first podcast came out. So that's one take on this. What's one element of it? The other thing is, so that's actually really it. I mean, that went off on a bit of a tangent there. But the element of document your life and record the journey, I do come back to this aspect that you don't have to have achieved anything special. You don't even have to aspire to anything special. People will gravitate towards you almost because you live a fairly plain, ordinary, boring life. And I'm sure that in your feeds around the world, wherever you're watching this from, to the half a dozen people that will watch this, there are examples of creators out there who have boring lives, and that's actually, whether it's, I don't know, is it dull dad or something, or boring 9-to-5 dad or something, who creates those probably fairly eye-catching shorts about packing up his laptop away and sitting at his desk. And part of that is, well, everyone can relate to that, and that's why he does so well. But again, he probably had a lot of people say to him, well, no one's going to watch this. No one really wants to see you sitting at your desk typing, and whether it's no music, no voiceover, no nothing. He didn't care. He just wanted to do it. He just wanted to be creative, chart his own course. And so again, even if you think you don't have anything to contribute, I think change that and know that you do. Know that you do. And then if nothing else, if for no other reason that you would want to do this, right? You don't want to do this for a decade. You don't want to do this every week. I get it. You don't have any aspiration to have any type of service business or physical product business or any other type of content. This is content. This is a video. You don't want to have long form or short form contribute in any other way to your life. You have enough. You are, and this is probably the mindset that I was in not too long ago, where I felt sufficient. I felt complete. I didn't feel like I was lacking anything. And so there was obviously then no catalyst to change. Because to come out and film a video, hit record, stick a camera in your face for 11 minutes now, it's a deliberate act. But if you do this for no other reason, I do think this is the modern or the 2026 version of a book, right? There'll be no other time in human history, obviously, has something like this been able to exist, where you can just pop something online and it can sit there forever. I don't know how long it will sit there, right? Obviously, the video gets uploaded to a server. The server sits in a specific country or a series of countries, and who knows what the future holds in that regard, obviously, with everything, all the current developments taking place as of 28th of February 2026, which is the last day of this month. I think a lot of people delay taking action because, of course, there will be so many changes that will come. But of course, delaying a decision is a decision in and of itself. And then delaying that decision makes you realize and think, well, I should have made that decision that I want to make today. I should have made it 12 or 18 months ago. In which case, just make it today. Don't feel bad about it and just take the action. I mean, I feel like a little bit, I've lived in China now for 5-6 years, and I have never done this recording thing where I've come online and wanted to share so actively about my thoughts, about what I'm trying to build here, a company here, business here. I was complete. I didn't have any interest in this. So that's a really, really long way of saying, if you have nothing else no other reason to do this, then think about your kids and think about your grandchildren and think about the future generations that will look back on granddad's video or grandma's video. I think if you have if you have an interesting life, or even if you have a boring life, or whatever, I think there is more than enough going for you to double down on this medium. Video, obviously, you're able to digest and take in a lot more than what you would be, say, a book or an audio-based podcast or another type of, it's beautiful out here, hey? Or another type of medium where you don't get that full context. But here you can hear me, you can see where I am. The body language is obviously incredibly important. Communication, contributing far higher as a percentage to understanding than the actual words themselves. Is it that the words only contribute 7% towards understanding, communicative understanding, or is it audio communication as a whole? I'm not sure. Whatever it is, the body can't obviously, cannot be overstated that cannot be understated. The emphasis on body language is incredibly important. And the thing that I love about these long form videos as well is that you just roll with it. Right? You just really get into the swing of things. There's no, I'm going to say the same thing again, and I have to say the same thing again 13 times to get it 100% correct. Because there is authenticity in the imperfection, of course. And when anyone comes online and they've got these unique videos where it's filmed from different angles, and you've got different takes, and you can see that they've cut it here or they've done it there, or maybe the lighting is different, or maybe they even have to do it over 2 or 3 days, almost like a bit of a movie. It takes that authenticity out of it, and it removes the real world, the realness of who you are as an individual. And then I'm walking a long way. I'm gonna start to walk back because I've got to get back there. Yeah, okay, let me go back slightly different way so you get a bit of a different vantage point. Now initially this video was only going to be a shorter snippet, but I think we're onto something here, so we're going to keep going for a little bit longer. So I'm in China at the moment, and I'm in a new city. I've lived in China for the majority of the past decade, but I've only ever lived in 2 cities: Beijing, the capital, Peking, and Harbin, up in the northeastern part of the country. And right now I'm in a new city that I've never lived in before. I'd never visited actually before I moved here 2 or 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I had never visited the city. So I arrived with the intention to live here, having never visited, which some people might find unusual, particularly as I'm not in my 20s anymore, I'm now in my 30s. However, at the same time, I'd lived in China for a long time and was very familiar with the country. I have travelled in this particular province in the southeast before, so I didn't have any fear or worry that it wasn't going to be the right decision, because it totally has been, and it totally is the right decision. Obviously the food is the same, it's Chinese food, although there are local nuances to it. You then have the language, the Putonghua, the Mandarin here is a little bit different to the language of Mandarin of the north. Although you read between the lines and you can certainly still make out what people are trying to say. Now it's a little bit loud and noisy on this road here right now, but in about 200 metres, 150 metres, I'm going to turn off left. And from that point onwards, we shouldn't be able to hear any more cars. And that'll then take me back around to that village that I just came out of and back up to where I need to be. But yes, I didn't have any fear or worry that this particular city location was not going to work out. And this year in particular, this month, February, it's my 10-year anniversary since I first moved to China, which was 2016. I didn't do any of these videos from the early days. I didn't capture any clips. We've got some photos. I've got some photos online of the highlights, of course. You know what it's like being in your early 20s. I moved to China when I was 23. I did 18 months here between Beijing and Harbin, and then back to Australia for less than a year back, and then before I felt like I had to buy a one-way ticket back to China. Something within me felt that I was calling me back. It was a feeling more than a rational or a mathematic decision. A decision that maybe didn't make sense on paper, but made sense in the heart, as a feeling. And it's been the right decision. So, anyway, film your life. I'm capturing this second decade here in China. As you know, I post a lot more frequently on Shorts currently. I've got a Facebook page with my double-digit number of followers now. I mean, if I'm posting on Instagram, I might as well follow over onto Facebook. And again, what I've realized is it's not really about how many followers you have in the initial phase, because everybody starts at the same number, 0. And instead, it's about longevity. Now, you might disagree and you might think, oh, yeah, a bit crazy, whatever. Elliott's got a dozen videos, long-form videos on his channel, and he thinks he can have a Facebook page. But seriously, people that start out with 0, the only way is up, right? If you've almost got nothing to lose, and you don't have anything to lose, I'm not some famous Hollywood actor or an internationally renowned individual to bother or worry about individuals' thoughts on me, thoughts about me. Why not have a Facebook page? My life has evolved. My Facebook profile, right, the private one, has evolved so much over the past decade. Well, I've evolved so much over the past decade and developed, and interests have evolved. Nobody from a decade ago, including myself, would have any thought that I would go on to spend majority of the next decade in China. And so most people just very, very much not disinterested, but just disengaged. Why would you live in a foreign country? If you live in a foreign country, you go to the UK, you go to North America, Canada/US. They speak English there. There are good wages there. There are good corporate possibilities and opportunities there. That's where you go. You wouldn't go to China, surely. And maybe if you want to have a bit of a, I don't know, maybe not even a holiday. Southeast Asia, go Southeast Asia for a holiday. Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, Singapore. Malaysia is probably out there as like a second-tier holiday destination. Not second-tier holiday, it's like a second tier in popularity. If people have never been to Southeast Asia before, they're very unlikely to go to Malaysia straight off the bat. I think, again, from an Australian perspective, you would go Bali as that sort of that foot in the shallows. I'm generalising here, obviously, but you go Bali, you get comfortable in Bali. Maybe you even go to Bali 2 or 3 times before you realise, oh, heck on, I can fly an extra 2 or 3 hours and I make it to Phuket. In which case you go to Thailand, or you go to Vietnam. Or a lot of young people in Australia will also do a Southeast Asian backpacking type of a trip, either immediately after high school or during university. Now this topic has evolved beyond film and document your journey, which is what it was originally about. And I'm just about coming up here to where I need to be, and I'm on time as well, so that's awesome. But I'm very happy with this. I'm very thrilled, overjoyed that another 22-minute video will be able to be uploaded. Again, it's not about, the early phase is obviously not about having the most incredible thumbnail or having thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of views on content. It's actually building that muscle of, okay, it's almost, actually, I do have to hold my hand out here like this, so, and walk for a long period of time. It's fine. But build that muscle of the habit and the consistency in yourself. It's developing a new habit. Filming yourself is uncomfortable in your bedroom when you start out, let alone on the streets where other people can see you and other people can hear you, and perhaps the difference here being nobody knows what I'm actually saying in English. But yeah, there are real benefits to it. And the early phase here at the moment is just about developing that consistency and building that content creation muscle. It's not about the views, it's not even about the titles or the thumbnails, although I will put a bit of effort in. I'll put 30 seconds worth of thought into this title as compared to the other one from 2 uploads ago, or a couple of days back. But yeah, I think if you start today, like I am, I'm starting at 1. I can't say I'm starting at 0, because I actually got a notification last night on my phone to say, you've uploaded 150 reels. I thought, that's cool. That is really cool. I had lost count. I remember when I used to count a couple of months back. I'm up to 50 now, or 60 or 70. But I'd post 2 a day. So after a while, it just becomes a normal part of the routine, and you forget the specifics. And the specifics are almost irrelevant. Whereas in the early stage, you start out doing something, you're a lot more conscious of the individual efforts that you're making. Whereas if you just keep with it, a couple of months go by, it becomes the norm, So I think the other thing perhaps related to this topic is that when I first started posting short form, September last year, so not even 6 months ago, I was trying to make them interesting to me without recognizing, and that was fine, because obviously, again, back to the Joe Rogan, right? He didn't care or mind that the format perhaps wasn't popular at the time, the long form interview, 2, 3, 4, 5 hour interviews, whereas today was obviously the biggest podcaster in the world. But I first started out, I would post one short form every 2, 3, 4, 5 days maybe once every 5 days even, not very frequently. And then I thought, you know what, I need to get a little bit better at this. I need to start going to the gym a bit more, the content gym, and I'm gonna go every day. I'm gonna go to the content gym every day. So I'm gonna push myself to go put something up every day. And you know what happened? In less than 2 months, it became very comfortable, very familiar. I didn't think too much about it anymore. And I achieved that fairly quickly. And then less than 2 months, I think it was about 40 days, I said to myself, you know what, this is getting pretty easy now. How about I go twice a day? And currently I go twice a day. Now, I am gonna have to make a bit of a switch in my content strategy, because currently I'm posting, there's not a massive strategy to what I'm posting up at the moment. I post obviously a bit about my interests and my status here in China, and slowly starting to make it a little bit more about business and the company, etc. It's service business here, where I work with e-commerce founders and assist with their operations on the ground. But it needs to go a lot more in that direction. So that's what I'm focused on over the next couple of weeks or the next couple of months. But I still obviously, the good news is that I'm not starting from 0. I'm starting from 1 out of 10. Obviously I'm not going 0 to 1, I'm going from, well, because I'm going 0 to 1, but I'm obviously on a range, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, I don't know, you're obviously out there doing things that you want to be doing with content in your business full time. I still feel I'm very, very early, both from a time duration perspective. Obviously I've only done this recently, started this recently, and also from a business development perspective. So that's really good. So yeah, 2 a day. So when I do now start posting a lot more of the business side of things, I won't have to focus on editing as much, or the posting schedule, or the caption creation, or feeling that, oh, this video only got 300 views, so I'm going to take the next couple of days off to get through my sorrows, or whatever it might be. You just keep with it. I just keep with it. And more often than not, you get a low performing video, and that's all relative, of course, depending on what stage and phase you were at. But when you push through that, you realize it's very easy to overcome, and it's always only temporary.